and resources, just really one resource is a picture, and there's a solution file which I already have open. And I can make sure that it takes up a nice big chunk of my screen, and let's get started. The first few steps are the same as all the others. I already marked them done. I opened the file. I made sure that if it's in protected view, I click enable editing button so I can modify it, and it will be renamed to include my name. Let's check it. I already have it open. See, as you can see, it's named with my name, and I'm not changing anything about this. Then starts the real steps, which is to select the entire document and change the font size to 11, the line spacing to 1.15, and the after paragraph spacing to 10. So let's do these things one at a time. First of all, using Control A, I hold Control and add A. I selected everything. In the Home tab, font size 11, making sure that everything is selected. Then the other things need to be done in the paragraph dialog, which on Windows I can access from here, from this little paragraph launcher. If I was on Mac, right above here, there would be a dialog which will be called Format, and under that would be the item Paragraph. And both of them will launch exactly the same dialog. Here is where I can change line spacing to 1.15 and the after spacing to 10 points. Okay, as long as my document is still all selected, it will affect everything. And save. Next. Then they want me to change the top, bottom, left, and right margins all to 1 inch. Now, I can do this manually, but actually there's two ways of doing it, because under Layout, where I can see the margins, I can either go to Custom Margins and simply enter 1, 1, 1, and 1. Maybe I should. Or, alternatively, there's already a preset right here, which is called Normal. When normal is 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. If I just select it, the margins have changed all over. Under View, by the way, it would make sense to show the rulers, but we can do that later here. We can show the rulers. So you can see there's a 1 inch here, and if I click anywhere here, you can see there's a 1 inch, and so on. Save. Next. Apply the retrospect theme to the document. Remember, the theme is a collection of fonts and colors and so on, especially fonts and sizes for headings and things like that. So I do that under the Design tab, and I go to Themes, and I believe it's listed alphabetically. So retrospect would be... Let's see. Why am I not looking at it right now? Vapor Purple. So it's not alphabetical. I need to actually find it. Retrospect, here you are. That's it. Notice that in the document, nothing much has changed, but future styles I will apply, especially if I go to Home and look at the gallery of styles for, like, headings and titles, all those will be affected. But I'm not done with the Design tab, because they want me to change the custom colors, and they want me to change the color theme to Blue Warm. I think that one is alphabetical. And here you are, Blue Warm. So it's the same theme, only it changes the collection of colors for that theme. Save. Next, they want me to apply the title style to the first line of the document. And this is the first line of the document, and I will apply the title style, which I can see in Home, not in Layout, Design. This shows you what a title could look like. See, they all say title. But to actually apply title, I'm going to Home, to the Gallery of Styles, and find Title. As soon as I roll over it, it shows me like a preview what it could look like. Save. The next thing they want me to do is to apply heading level 1 style to each of the bolded headings in the document, and they're already telling me there are 5 of them. So let's count them. Here, everything that's bold, like a bolded heading. This one needs to be a heading 1. That's 1. This one needs to be a heading 1. That's 2. College expenses is 3. Heading 1. Financial aid information 4, and see how it makes it jump to the next page. And enrollment status is the 5th one. Is there any other? Nope, that's it. Save. Select the first section heading in. How do I get rid of this thing? Doesn't matter. Select the first section heading if necessary and update heading 1 to match selection. So if all other headings in this style applied automatically. Sorry, we have to do one more thing before that. 2 things. We did apply heading level 1. We're going to select the first section heading on the first page, financial resources, and apply some changes to it. Actually, 2 changes, which I've not done yet. We're going to make it bold and small caps and change the font color to the 5th color in the last row. So 5th color, last row. Let's see if I remember. So we're going to go to this first heading. Now, where can I do all those things? Bold I can do from here, but I can do all those things from the paragraph. Again, if you're on Mac, you would look for Format, Paragraph, pull it down, and applies the same thing. Here is where, actually, sorry, not paragraph, but font, same place. Again, if you're on Mac, you would go to Format, Font. Here I could go to the font launcher, and this is the place where I can make it bold. I can make it small caps, and I can change the color to the 5th one in the last row, this one. And I roll over it, blue, gray, accent, darker, 50%. Okay. Then, yep, blue, gray, darker, 50%. Did that. Change the after paragraph spacing of the first section heading to 3 points. So this is going to be done under paragraph. After, instead of 0 points, 3 points. Okay, see, I pushed it a little bit. And then they want all the other H1s to follow. So what they're telling me is to go to heading level 1, select the first section heading if necessary, and update heading 1 to match selection. All other headings will be matched. So how do I do that? I go to heading 1, here, the style, under the Home tab. I right-click, and I ask it to update heading 1 to match selection. And it updated all of them. See how it did all the heading ones. And then, of course, I'm going to save. The next thing to do is step number 4, which is to apply and customize bullets, but I think we're going to do that in the next part. See you in part 2, step number 4. This is going to be part 2 of the series of tutorials for completing SIMnet Word 365 Capstone project. In part 1, we got as far as completing steps 1, 2, and 3, and now we're up to step number 4. Select federal grants through scholarships on the first page in the types of financial aid. So it's federal grants through scholarships on the first page. Here it is, federal grants through scholarships. And what they want me to apply to it is to make it into a solid black bullet list for the selected text. So they also tell me that it's the Wingding font character code 110, but actually there's already a preset for that. So where do I do bulleted list? Right here. If I just click, it'll become a regular bullet. But if I pull down this menu, I can find the square one. Here it is. Save. Then they want to change the bulleted list. Select the bulleted list and change left indent to 0.5. So I'm going to select it. And how do we change left indent? I can either, actually the best way would be to launch the paragraph setting. We already went over the fact that on Mac, it's going to be up here under Format Paragraph. And right here, I can do an indentation left instead of 0.25, 0.5. OK, and it jumped to exactly ½ inch. Save. Then use the Format Painter, because we made a few changes here, to copy the format of the bulleted list to body paragraphs 2 through 7 in the financial aid section, all paragraphs except the heading and the first paragraph in the section. So what are they talking about? They're saying they want to apply this to financial aid section, not the first paragraph, but everything past that. Now, if I'm not sure, I'm going to go to the solution, which is right here. And let's see the solution. Now it's going to be on the third page because it's going to insert like a... So from the word parents all the way to the sentence that starts with financial. So from parents to financial. Here it is, but first I have to select the one that looks right, this one. I'm going to use the Format Painter. Now, double-clicking on the Format Painter makes it stick. Makes it like, stay on. And now it copied the format of this, and I'm going to paint it over from the word parents all the way to the sentence that ends with financial, this one. And now it applied this as a bulleted list that starts with, parents and everything. Again, to compare, I'm going to go to here, and it's from parents all the way to financial. But the word information is still part of a paragraph that's regular. Let's make sure. Information, regular. Good. Save. Back to the requirements. Then they want me to use still the same Format Painter. Remember, we left it on to copy the bullet formatting to the 2 enrollment status criteria lists in the enrollment status on the last page. So they're even giving me a screenshot of what it should look like. There's 2 bullet lists, one, then a sentence, then another one. So it's 2 separate ones. And then I will do this. I'm making sure that, again, my Format Painter is on. I'm going to select this bulleted list, and my Format Painter is on. And I double-clicked, and I'm going to apply this bullet list to this list, the one that starts with full-time and ends with less than half-time, but not for students attending, because that's the sentence in between. Then this one, full-time, less than half-time. And when I look at the example they give me, first of all, I'm going to save. I can see that it looks right. It looks right. And there's a sentence in between. It still doesn't look exactly the same way they want, with all those tabs, but that's coming up. So I just did that. Select all 4 lines of the first bulleted list in the enrollment status section and set the left tab stop to 2.25. So it's not a tab, it's a left tab stop. So here's what we're going to do. Select all of those. And how do I insert a tab stop? In the paragraph, I launched the paragraph launcher. I click tabs, and they want 2.25, I believe. 2.25. I'm going to check. Yep, 2.25. Now on Mac, that same field is going to be up here on top, but it's the same thing, and I'm making sure that it's a left one, and I'm going to click to actually add that. I'm going to click OK. Tab stop position. Oh, sorry, 2.25 and set. and it actually, records it. And then I'm going to click OK, and I want you to see what happens. See how it actually made all of those jump to a nice tab at 2.25, just like the screenshot. It actually did it to this one as well. Use the format painter to apply this formatting to the second bulleted list. It already did, but I'm going to make sure. I'm going to select this. I'm going to go to my format painter and paint over this one, as they seem to have already, everything that I need. And my next requirement is to select both bulleted list and the paragraph between them and change the after paragraph spacing to 4 points. See figure one, where see how the space above and below looks kind of even. So they want the after to be 4 points. So they want you to select this and the sentence between, all of this, and select the after to be, instead of 10 points, to be 4 pt, 4 points. Okay, and now you see how the spacing above and below the sentence is kind of equal. Save. Let's go for the next step. Convert text to a table. Turn on show hide if it's not already on. That is under the home tab, and here it is, and it shows all the formatting marks. Convert the selected text to a table with 3 columns auto fit to content. Now they don't tell me which text. Oh, select the tabbed line. Here we go. The tabbed line in the text column is expenses. The word expenses through that number 17,000 and convert it to a table with auto-fit contents. So let's find it. Here it is. This is called tabbed text because what's separating it right now is tabs. So all the way from the word expenses all the way to that 17,000, I clicked, held, and drag. And then under Insert Table, I'm pulling down this menu. And one of the options there is to convert text to a table. Then it's going to ask me how many columns? 3. Then auto-fit to contents, that's what they want, and separate text at tabs. And it becomes a table. Now all those little weird icons is because I'm showing the formatting, which I would rather still show. Save. Next, I did convert it, and then they want me to customize it. Select the entire table if necessary and change the after paragraph spacing to 0. So the easiest way to select the whole table is to click on its little handle up here. And under Home, Paragraph, it's like the millionth time we're opening this dialog. They want the after to be, I always forget, 0. After spacing 0. And okay, and see how it made it nice and tight. Insert a row above the first row in the table. Let's do that. So that is done in one of the tabs that opens when you have a table selected. Table design and table layout. It's in one of them. So in table design, you see all the different looks. We're going to visit that in a second. But under table layout, if I select the first row, sometimes it's enough just to select something in the first row. I just clicked, held and dragged the first row. Here are the buttons to insert below and above. They want above. Save. Let me turn off the formatting because it, the show hide, because it's kind of annoying. And once I inserted a row, they want me to merge the cell in the row and type estimated annual college expenses. Now, I always like to highlight, right click, copy from the browser, go here. First of all, they want me to merge. So under table layout, there's the merge cells. And then I can paste. Now, I'm not going to do a regular paste. I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to the Paste menu and choose out of all the different pastes, the one that is text only. Keep the one with a little A. Keep text only. And it pasted only my text without that weird font that I had in the browser. This one. Then they want me to apply the grid table 4, accent 4 table style to the table. We've used that style before. Grid 4, accent 4. So again, table selected. That's going to be under table design. I'm opening the table gallery. On Mac, it would be a button in the bottom center. Here on Windows, it's the bottom right. And I'm looking at all the grid tables, and I'm looking for the line that says grid table 4, 3, and this is 5. This is 4, accent 4. On the Mac, it's just like all in rows here. That's like side by side. Doesn't matter. I just need to roll over until I find grid accent 4, table 4, accent 4. Click, and it converted the whole thing. Save. Then there's going to be some things to change here. I did that. Apply the table style options to header row, total row, banded row, and deselect everything else. So header row, total row, and banded rows. So let's explain what each one of them is. Header row means that the header is going to look different than anyone else. Total row means that the bottom one is going to look different than anyone else. And banded rows means that all the others are going to be like odd, even, like light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And they want me to deselect the others. They don't want the first column to look different. When I click elsewhere, you can see that the first one looks special. The bottom one looks special. And the ones in between are like light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. That's the banded rows. Save. Change the row height of the entire table to 0.2. So I'm going to select all the rows in the table. All of the rows. And where do I change row height? Under table layout, I believe. There's height for rows. So instead of 0.13, they want it to be 0.2. Enter. Now if I click any one of them, it is 0.2. Yep, good, save. Almost done here. Change the alignment of the first row to align top center, because it's right now like left. Select the first row, and alignments are up here, so this is top center up here. Save. What else do they want me to change? Top center. Change the alignment of the second and the third columns to align top right. So second and third columns. So I'll have to go to the second row. This, living with parents and living on your own. And they want to align that top right. So they align to the right. So I'm going to select these columns, all of them, and top right, which is right here, and also this one. Select the whole column, top right. Let me just make sure that I did exactly what they asked. Change the alignment of the second and the third columns, all of them, to align top right. Bold the text in the second row. Second row, which is like those sub things. Bolding them is, I could do that under home. Right here, bold. Select the entire table and change the horizontal alignment to center. Figure 2 shows the table in the center, because right now it's aligned left. So I'm selecting the whole table and changing the alignment to the center. right here. This is one way of doing it. I can also, let me undo, right click and go to table properties, and in the table properties choose center. That's probably better. Same result. Save. And now we're almost up to the end of step number 6. Select the entire table. Okay, we just did that. Last thing, K, adjust column widths to keep text from wrapping if necessary. What do they mean? If there's text that's like spilling into the next line, then I can go to text wrapping, which is under home, and write here, there's a button for text wrapping. But I don't have to do it because it's not wrapping anyway. Wrapping would be if I typed something longer and it like spilled into the next line. So I'm going to undo. And I'm going to stop this part of the tutorial, which was part 2. Let me see you in part 3, which will take us to step number 7. This is going to be part 3 of the series of tutorials for completing the SIMnet Word Capstone project. And in the previous part, we have reached the step where the end of step 6, where we adjust, that table and everything, and the columns and all that. Now, what I found out between recording those 2 parts is that I actually missed something on step number 4, so let's correct it now. Now, on step number 4, it says to apply a solid black square bullet, and we did, only it's the wrong one. It's slightly too small. I noticed that in their screenshots, there's a big one, and in my document, it's kind of small. So what I found is that we were using the wrong character code. So the correct character code to use is a font called Wingding, character code 110 to the selected text. So the way we would do it is this. I would select the first one, the first bulleted list, and I would go to Home. And under Bulleted List, I would go to Define New Bullet. And under Define New Bullet, I would click Symbol. And under Symbol, it will be the font Wingdings. If it's not, I'm going to, select it. And then there's a place to look for a character code. You see how the small one is 167. I'm going to change it to 110, which is a slightly bigger one. And then I'm going to click OK. And OK. And it changes it to a bigger one. Then I need to apply that to the rest of my bulleted lists, which is not going to be that hard because all I have to do is select them. Let's say this one, and under my bulleted list, it's going to be under the recently used ones. Here it is. And this one, there's a total of 4 of them. That's the third one, recently used, the big one, and then this one, recently used, the big one. Good. Save. Let me look at the final result, and yeah, it looks exactly the way it needs to look. Let's also make sure that, yep, it looks just fine. Great. Now we can actually move on to the next step. The step we actually completed in the last part was number 6 with that table. And now we're up to step number 7, where we review comments and use something called Researcher. We're going to review the comment in Financial Aid Information section. Now, that means that somewhere on the right here, there's a comment. Now, if for some reason we don't see that comment, we would go to Review and ask to see all markup, because it might be on like no markup, and then we don't see it, but on all markup, we will see it. And the researcher is, this person we're supposed to collaborate with, called Randy Nordell, is saying use researchers to find information about FAFSA, and he even highlighted this sentence. So how do we use the researcher? The researcher is going to be found under references, and here it is, researcher. I click and it opens like a pane on the right. And I'm going to type the word FAFSA. And it researches and tells me some information about FAFSA and what it is and eligibility and so on. Now, this is not something we're changing in the document, so they don't really have a way of knowing if you actually did it. So I did, I reviewed, I researched, okay. But as far as actual changes in the document, the only real change we need to do, we reviewed, we searched, close the researcher pane, and delete the comment. That's the only actual measurable change. We close the researcher, and then under the 3 dots, delete thread. We deleted the comment. Save. Step number 8, insert a footnote. They want us to place our insertion point after fees $46 a unit in the first column of the table. And the footnote they wanted to insert is this text. So I'm going to copy it because I know that there's a good chance of me, including the period. Yep. There's a good chance of me misspelling it or something. And I'm going to right click and copy. Now, again, where does it need to be? Insertion point right after fees, that close parentheses, $46 a unit. And in the table, which is right here, fees $46 a unit, click insert a footnote, which is under references. Here it is, insert footnote. It inserts footnote number 1, where I can go. Now, I want to paste only the text, so I'm going home, and I'm going to paste and finding the one with the A, which is for pasting text only. And here it is. Save. Next, they want me to change the footnote numbering format to ABC instead of 1, 2, 3. So that is done. In the review, in the references, and the way I would do that is by launching the footnote launcher. Now on Mac, I can do it. Let's see if I can do it here by right-clicking somewhere here, and on the Mac it's going to say footnote ... somewhere here. Now on Windows it doesn't do that, but that's the way I would do it on Mac. On Windows, I'm going to the group in references called footnotes and launching the footnote dialog. That's where it's asking me, oh, what number format do you want? I don't want 1, 2, 3. I want lowercase ABC. Let's see if that's really the one they want. Yep. They do. Apply. And now it's footnote A instead of 1. They also say, if for some reason it doesn't fit, use auto contents, but everything still fits, so I don't have to touch anything. Next, step number 9. Add placeholder and citations to the document to edit the citation. First of all, citations are like references that prove that everything that we say that is factual is supported by something like research. It's like, it's basically the answer to the question, says who. So first of all, there's 2 main styles, APA and MLA. They want us to select the style called APA from bibliography style. And that is done. Under references, style, if it's already APA, nothing to change, but if you needed to change it, it's right here. And save. And then place your insertion point at the end of the body paragraph, but before the period, in the financial resources section on the first page. So I need to find that paragraph on financial resources and place my insertion point, financial resources, at the end right here. Let's see if that's, again, let's read it carefully. At the end of the first of the body paragraph, but before the period, in financial resources section in the first page. Now I'm going to look at the final and see if that's where they actually inserted it, which is, yep, right here. Right after the word goal, there's a citation. So my mouse is right here, right after the L, but before the period. And I'm going to insert a citation. Now, on Mac, this is only a button, not a pull-down menu. And on Mac, I will just insert citation and add a new source and give it like the name, whatever name they wanted me to give it. But on Windows, I can do it like this: insert citation, add a new placeholder. And all they want is the name of the placeholder. So it's two ways to do the same thing. Now, what name did they want to have for this placeholder? SPCCD. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that. What does it mean that it's placeholder? It's a citation, but I haven't given it the details yet. But it's just, it holds its place there. So right now it's going to insert the citation. It just looks like CCPPD. And then they want to do the same thing. Place the insertion point at the end of the third bulleted item, but before the period, in financial aid information section. So there's a financial aid information section. Here it is. Third bullet. Here. Let's see if that's the right one. End of the body paragraph, but before the period in financial resources. Again, I'm going to refer to the solution and see financial, and it's the third one. Yep, right after here, right after that 008, blah, blah, blah. This is the citation right here. So right after the 2. So right after the number 2, but before the period, again, same thing. I can insert citation and simply change the name of the placeholder to FAFSA. And it inserts a placeholder for FAFSA. Or on Windows, there's actually a place where I can just insert a new placeholder. It's exactly the same. One or the other. You don't have to do both. The next step is to use the Source Manager dialog box, Reference tab, Citations and Bibliography group, and edit the first one, placeholder, to add the following information. Check the box Show all bibliography fields if necessary. Now, first of all, how do I get to this Source Manager? Now, on Windows, there's a button called Manage Sources. Very easy, but for some reason on Mac, it does not. It's not there. So what I can do is on Mac is I can find the citation. Let's say the first one, this one, and click on it, and there's a tiny little drop menu where I can go edit citation right here. Not edit citation, edit source, sorry. Edit source. And it brings up a dialog with everything where I can show all the bibliography styles and everything. Now, on Windows, I can choose what they are suggesting, which is to click Manage Sources. It brings up a dialog with all the ones that I have, the current list, and here it is, this one, and I'll click Edit, and it opens up the same dialog, edit Source. Now, let's make sure that we're editing exactly what they want us to edit, because it's got a lot of, if I show all the bibliography ones, it's got a lot of different fields. And let's make sure we're entering the right info into the right info. So first of all, the one that's SPCCD. And make sure you show all bibliography fields. Type of source, website. Type of source, not book, but website. And it changes all the different fields accordingly. Then they want the name of the author to be a corporate author with this name. I'm going to copy it. Now, how do we do a corporate author? By checking this box, which blocks out a regular human author, and instead of it's a corporate author. I'm right-clicking and pasting. In this case, no need to worry about formatting because it takes only simple text. They want the name of the page to be financial aid. Name of the page, not name of the site, but name of the page, financial aid. The year's 2021. Again, I'm right-clicking and copying. Year 2021. Year accessed is 2023. So now where's the year accessed? Right here. So this is the year it came out, but this is the year that it was accessed or found. Whoever wrote this paper. The month accessed is January, and the day accessed is 12. So the month accessed, January, day accessed, 1, 2, 12. And last but not least, they want the URL to be this thing because it's a web page. Copy. And where I put the URL is at the very top. There's a field for URL. Web page name, editor, year, month, URL. Here it is. On the Mac, it's a little higher, but it's still the same name. So I just make sure that I copy its entire, everything from the W all the way to the HTML to the L, and then they want me to edit the FAFSA placeholder and put a bunch of information there too. So I can click OK, and I can edit the FAFSA. Again, I'll show you the alternative way. You see how now instead of a placeholder like a question mark, it has like a real, check. I can close it, and I can go see how it inserts Sierra Community College District in 2021. If I look at the final result, I will see that it looks exactly the same. Sierra Community College District 2021. So I know that I'm on the right road. Then they want me to edit the FAFSA one. So again, personally my favorite way is to find it. And it was right here. One click, pull down menu. Not that. Undo. Pull down menu. I converted it to a regular text by mistake. Edit source. And the same dialog opens, only nicer, cleaner. Show all bibliography. And now it's just a matter of meticulously entering or copying, whatever's easier for you. Again, this is a website, and the author, the corporate author, is U.S. Department of Education. Corporate author. First of all, it's a website. Corporate author. U.S. Department of Education. Federal Student Aid is the name of the web page. Again, very confusing. Make sure it's not website, but web page. Then the year's 2022, and the year access is 2022. That's easy enough to type. Year 2022, and the year accessed is 2022. And it's December 8th, the time it was accessed. I will see all those fields only if I check show all bibliography fields. Month accessed, December with a capital D, and the day 8. And last but not least, they want the URL to be this thing. In other words, if someone wants to check the actual facts in this document, they have some kind of reference. That's what citations are for. I'll say it again. Citations are a basic long answer to a very short question. And the question is, says who? It's going to ask me, I've seen this on Mac, this source exists in your master list and current document. Do you want to update? Yes, I do. Save. At this point, let's see if we're done with the Source Manager dialog box, which I closed even before. And then they want me to insert that same citation. Once again, place your insertion point at the end of the first body paragraph, but before the colon on the second page in the enrollment status section. So first body paragraph, right before the colon. Let's see if we can find it. In the, again, what is it? First body paragraph in the second page. That's the first page. That's the second page. Where is that colon? Let's see again. At the end of the first body paragraph, but before the colon. I don't see a colon here. Let's look at the solution. Let's look at the solution. I will stop this tutorial until I find the exact spot, and I will see you in the next part. This is going to be part 4 in the series of tutorials for completing the SIMnet word capstone. And I was kind of stumped by the end of the last part because it asked me to place my insertion point at the end of the first body paragraph, but before the colon on the second page in the enrollment status section. I think they could have worded it in something a little less confusing, but I found it. Here, there's a section, let me go back here, called enrollment status on the second page. And there's a first paragraph, and here's the word used. Let me zoom in. And there's the column right before the D and the S. Now, what do they want me to do there? Insert that citation we already have. They just want it twice. They just want it in another place on the document. The Sierra Pacific Community College District citation, and save the document. How do I insert that citation? That's a citation that already exists. So I go to References, and here's the Insert Citation drop menu, and it shows me that it has two of them, the Sierra Pacific and the U.S. Department. They want the Sierra Pacific one. Click, and it inserts it, and I save. And if I compare that to the solution, here it is, Sierra Pacific 2021, just like I have. Save, which means we can move on to the next step. Insert a reference page and a table of contents. There's a lot of steps here, like case steps. Place your insertion point at the end of the document, press enter twice. This turns off the bullet feature. Very end of the document, which is this. Enter. Enter. The first time it thinks you want another bullet. The second time it's another enter. They want actually another page. So what they're saying is insert a page break. Right here, insert a page break. Insert page break right here in the insert tab, page break. You can also find it under layout, under different kinds of breaks right here. There's page break, same thing, but easier, insert, page break. And it inserts another page. It makes sure that the page breaks. Save. Then insert a reference page on the last page. How do we insert a reference page? References page. We go to References and we go to Insert a References page, which always eludes me. Not table of contents. Here it is, bibliography, references. Not bibliography, but references. And it inserts a page with references. Let's see if we did it correctly. Center the references title. Select it. Center under Home. Center. Use the field handle of the references page to select all the references page text. So I'm going to use, actually I could just click and hold, select everything, either from R all the way down, everything is selected. And what they want me to do with it is change the after paragraph spacing to 10. We visited that menu before, that dialog, and the after needs to be 10 points. Okay, and it opens up a little more space between them. Move your insertion point to the beginning of the document. So this looks good. Let's see if it looks just like the solution. At the very end, there's, yep, references and Sierra and a little space and then US department. And that's exactly what I have. Good. So we can go to the next step. Move your insertion point to beginning of the document, which I will do. Beginning of the document. And then insert a next page section break. Now, where do we find that? Layout, all different kinds of breaks, and one of them is a next page break right here. What does that do? It pushes everything that used to be on page number 1 to be like, second page, page number 2, and opens up a brand new page. Now, at this point, what I find is that it helps a lot if I go home and show the formatting, because I can see where the page break is. Because what they're going to tell me next is place your insertion point on the new first blank page and apply the normal text style. So I'm going to place my mouse here on the first blank empty page and home text styles normal. Why? Because it still thinks that it's a title. Because the next thing that was there before was a title, but they want it to be normal. Save. And then once it's normal, place your insertion point. Yep, we've done that. Insert the automatic table 2 table of contents. So there's a style called automatic table 2 table of contents. If a blank line displays above the table of contents, delete it. So automatic table 2. On Mac, it might be called something different. It'll be found under the same menu, and it's going to be done under References, Insert Table of Contents, which is going to be not Table of Figures. Here it is, very first one, under References, and I pull down the menu, and they want Automatic Table 2. I think on the Mac, it's the one called Simple. But those of you who are Mac users are going to see that on the list of requirements and instructions for Mac. Automatic Table 2. shows a table of contents. And then K, select and center the table of contents, apply bold and change the font color. So first of all, select and center table of contents. Center, bold, and what else do they want me to do? Change the color to the fifth color in the last row. We've seen that color before, and text color is right here, and it's the fifth color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's that blue-gray accent one, darker 50%. Let's make sure. Yep, blue-gray accent one, darker 50%. Let's do one more thing before we can call this part done, which is to insert and customize the logo. This is the one resource. Remember in the beginning, the very beginning, we downloaded a start file and a resource. That's the resource. So if you downloaded it and never moved it, it should be in your downloads folder. So where do they want us to insert that? That's step number 11. We're getting very close to the end because I think there's 14 steps. Step number 11, place your insertion point to the left of the section break next page indicator below the table of contents. The table of contents should not be selected and your insertion point should not be inside the table of contents. Now I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually simple. This is exactly why I like to show, because here's the section break next page and I'm going to place my insertion point right here. So it's not inside the table of contents. And it's right, it's right before the section break. And that's where they want the picture. And I'm going to insert and go to pictures and go to pictures from this device, which on Mac is called picture from file. And I'm going to go in the dialog that opens to my downloads and find that logo that I downloaded and insert. And insert it below the section break, or below the table of contents, but still inside that page. Let's again carefully review where we put it. Insertion to the left of the section break, which means right before, and then insert the logo, and then position it to bottom left with square text wrapping. So while it's selected, we can go to position. This is in picture format, position. And it's this one where it's the bottom center with text, square text wrapping. And it puts it at the bottom of this page, and then the next page starts, because this is where the page break is. Right here. And then the last thing they want me to do is to change the height to 1, which automatically changes the width because they're kind of locked to each other. So 1 inch, and save. Let's see if there's anything else here. Change the height, the width automatically adjusts. So we can call this part done. In the next part, we will go to step number 12 and 13, and then 14 and 15, 16 is already uploading. So there's up to step 14 to do.